got me started, ready to roll, huh? Caught me on camera, despite my better judgment. Cliff Rinear from Cliffy's Premium Pinball. That's my official California business name. I'm an innovator of sorts, I've been told, because I create protection devices or hole guards and ramp guards for pinball machines. I guess if you want to know where it all started,
yeah.
From the gaming side or from the protection side, because that's
well, tell us a little bit of background how you even got involved in games.
It started actually as just an extension of my mechanical nature. I always fixed things since I was a little kid. I didn't always fix them and make them work. You know, my stepdad will attest to that. Gave me a pocket watch to fix when I was like 12, and I think he still got it in a shoebox today, but I know every part of it. But the pinball and all the stuff that goes with it in the arcade realm was just an extension of that. I ran out of things to fix. I had restored a few cars. I was really into motorcycles and still am. I did everything from painting them to, you know, to engine rebuilds, the body work, everything. Huh.
So make sure you edit this well.
We're recording.
Oh,
Talk to each other.
okay.
Talk to me.
By the way,
we'll
so
try.
here's my buddy Greg Ong, a fellow innovator, I might say, minor genius in his own right, comes up with some really cool pinball inventions that
Well, better than that, he's made wonderful plastic replicas for gun games.
I mean, all kind of things, anything. I think we're of like mind in that way. If there's something we know that we need, we're gonna make it an experiment, right? And try it out on our own stuff. And if other people like it, I mean, it's never been, well, it wasn't my intention when I started these things to turn it into a business, you know? It was a hobby.
Yeah, it's more fun to figure out a solution to something or how to make a new idea work than it becomes work when you start making things. But
Yeah.
So
it's
what
fun
was
to
your
figure it
first
out.
protector, do you remember?
It was for my fun house.
Your very own fun house.
My own fun. I got a fun house, and it was my fourth pinball machine, I think. At that point, I was still relatively new to the games themselves. I didn't realize there was such a community that there is right now. I was amazed. There's like a whole nother world out there of these pinball people, and which was cool. I mean, I ran into that in other hobbies, like the car restoration and motorcycles and stuff. But yeah, I needed a new plastic ramp, and the internet was fairly new back then, and there wasn't a lot of online pinball shops, so to speak. We had Jim Tolbert's for amusement only here in Berkeley, and by God, he had a main ramp for Funhouse hanging on the wall. At the time, it was $125, and then my jaw dropped because I only paid like $750 for the whole game. And so, yes, cheapness can be the mother of invention. So I says, even if I got that new ramp, it had no real protection for it. And he said, well, Williams has a kit, and it was these two little pieces of metal that just didn't look right. They looked like two little pieces of metal. So I designed my own that form fit the ramp. They looked like they were made to be in the game. They looked to me to be like factory made. And I made 6 pieces for that game, and then the holes on the play field were all worn. You put a round ball into a square hole that's made out of wood, and sooner or later that's gonna, be the size of a golf ball hole. So I made some out of that. I just hand cut with tin snips out of some stainless steel. It was relatively thick. I think I was using like 24 gauge at the time, and I hand filed and beveled the edges, and they're still on my game today, believe it or not. I mean, after all these years, I still got the original protectors on my Funhouse. So brought the protectors up to a show because somebody else wanted to see them. They heard about them through word of mouth, and the rest is really history. Pinagogo is where it all started, where we're at right now. Back then, a friend from Arizona was up here, and he wanted them, and he started a trend, and the rest is history. I mean, that was my first ones.
So you came up with the ramp protectors and the hull protectors simultaneously?
Well, a little bit farther apart than that. You know, I saw what I could do with the ramp protectors, and I wondered what to do with the hole protectors. There was nothing at all for hole protectors at that time, you know, that from the factory. They had add-on ramp protectors, but they were, you know, I don't want to sound mean, but they were kind of chintzy looking, you know, and they certainly didn't fill the need. They were there just to actually plug holes, you know. They weren't preventative. Mine, I wanted to look preventative.
Yeah, at the time the games were all blown out.
Oh yeah.
Now you've got all the new play fields to protect.
Right, there was no reproduction play fields. There were no reproduction plastic ramps, you know. So, and again, it was just me wanting to get my game playable because I got tired of the ball getting stuck in the side of the ramp, and you know, I'd have to stop and take everything apart to get the ball out. You know.
What was the next game after Funhouse?
Boy, you know, I'd have to say my Creature from the Black Lagoon, the snack bar on that. When I saw that literally did look like a golf ball sized hole in that. And that's when I came up with, even with my 24 gauge relatively thick protectors, they wouldn't last very long because of the damage. So I knew we had to repair the damage in the wood with epoxy, like epoxy putty, to give some support to the protector. Yeah.
And then it kind of exploded on you. You started making protectors for dozens of games.
Well, well, that's just it. You know, at first it was just for me, and I think I made 4 other Funhouse ramp protector sets that year that people heard about, and they call me up and I'd send them to them. And, I didn't see this coming, right?
It was all word of mouth.
It was all word of mouth,
yeah.
And then it got the requests for different games, not just the ones I was making. Hey, could you make them for Attack from Mars, Monster Bash? Could you make it for this, for that? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'll have to see the game and, you know, get some templates and there weren't a lot of them around. And again, the community, even as big as it is now, still just getting to the games and people trusting you to take them apart so you could make a template, you know, it was pretty rare. So I'd invite other people to help me, you know. I'd say, hey, could you make a template for me from your game? If you want a protector for it, I'll give you one for free if you do the testing and give me some feedback. Yeah.
You did some for me, for Earthshaker.
Earthshaker, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty soon after, yeah.
And then at what point did it kind of explode into a bit of a side business for you where you had a website and were selling to other distributors?
Yeah. That, I couldn't nail down a date, but I remember the explosion of requests made me stop and think about, should I be mowing my lawn on Saturday, or should I be making protectors for people because they really want this product, you know? And I would say it was around 2003, around there. And yeah, so then I said, I better put a web page up just so I could put some pictures of this stuff so I don't keep having to take them and email them to people, right? Just so I taught myself how to make a web page using Microsoft Front Page at the time, you know?
Right. And then Pinbits became a big distributor for you, right?
Pinbits, my very good friends, very close friends, they're also in the Bay Area, and they also have their own innovative products. Oh my gosh, they're always coming up with some of the most creative stuff. It's amazing. Yeah, Martin Reynolds in particular, he really helped me out and get away from cutting these things by hand with tin
that was
snips.
My next question for you, because your current product is the spring steel, super thin,
the hyper thin, yeah.
Yeah. So when did that come about?
That came about with Martin, I'd say in 2006. He came along and he says, well, you should be having these laser cut. You're just making too many. I mean, it was taking all weekend to make like 6 sets of Funhouse ramp protectors and 2 or 3 creatures, you know, and because just the labor involved. And I says, well, how am I going to do that? I wouldn't know the first thing. Well, all you got to have is a drawing first, and you know, a CAD drawing. So I taught myself with his help TurboCAD, you know, and just enough to get by, enough to be dangerous, and God forbid if anybody wanted to hire me to do CAD work, because all I could do is 2-dimensional stuff.
Right, but your current product it's much improved. It's
thank you very much.
To make them with,
well, I get more consistency.
Yeah,
that's the
they're
key.
Exactly the same.
Right.
They have from my own experience, I went from your original ones on my Funhouse to the laser cut spring steel, and they have zero effect on the gameplay, and they still protect just as well as before.
Absolutely. I'm using a spring-rated stainless. It's much thinner than my original stuff, and it does hold its shape very well, and it looks nice too.
Yeah,
So.
and it allows you to keep up with demand a little better.
A little bit better, yeah.
So how is current demand? Are you keeping up, and is it as big as ever, or it keeps on growing, or what was it like now?
Fortunately for you and me, because we now have turned this from a hobby into a kind of a side business, the pinball as a whole has grown. I mean, there's a lot of new people coming in there, so we got some new companies coming in now. As we know, Stern was the last and only pinball maker commercially. Still they are right now, but we've got a couple up and comers. So it's gone leaps and bounds for me though. Now I've got distribution around the world. Australia, Germany, England, Norway, Canada, and several across the United States. So in short, although I've already made it too long, it's crazy. I mean, I'm barely keeping up. I've got several children of my own that I wish I could impart my mechanical creativity into to give me a hand, but they're just more interested in learning how to drive and finishing up their school and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, great. It's great to hear about your success and the resurgence in pinball that we're all feeling, and wish you continued success.
Well, I wish you the same, Greg.
Thank you.
I mean, I hope you keep coming up with new stuff because you always surprise us.
It's always time.
Yeah,
Tell us
appreciate
again,
that.
gentlemen, where are we? Why are we doing this?
We're at the Pinagogo in lovely Dixon, California. On a beautiful spring day.
And what annual is this, Greg?
This is the 17th or 18th? 17th, I think.
17th annual.
And it's as big as it's ever been. We've had the biggest.
Two buildings are the first time. 2 buildings full of pinball to come and play.
And a very successful flea market, and more games and more people than we've ever had. So thanks for your support.
And the world's first interview with Cliffy.
Oh my goodness. Burn the tape.
Thanks, Will.